Let's Talk Oculus, a VR podcast, is proudly sponsored by the good folks at Patreon. If you want to support the show, join us on patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus. What's up, Oculus nerds? Welcome back to Let's Talk Oculus, episode 93. I'm your host, as always, Dan from Playtest VR, and I am joined by my co-host, as always, it's Samson, the guy from Massachusetts. How you doing?
Yes. Hot and humid here in Massachusetts. And I am doing well. Very excited to get to know our guest today, which is a perfect segue.
Perfect. Yeah, we got Sho Futuristic on the show here. Big up, Sho. Nice to have you on the show. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. What's up, guys? What's going on?
Awesome. So Sho is a YouTuber. He's got a various number of YouTube videos, rather more like opinion pieces, as well as some news talking as well on your channel about the Quest, but also about the other VR headsets as well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get straight into it. But actually, before we do, quick housekeeping. Definitely go join our Discord if you haven't already. We have over 130 people in there now. I think I checked the other day.
Come on down. So, we've been getting a lot of multiplayer games. I mean, last week we had 8-player for Walkabout. You were like, does anybody want to play this new course? Boom.
Yeah, we had a full house and such. And then also, I think the week before when I was away, you guys watched Journey to the Center of the Earth in big screen.
Yeah,
as well.
Two of them.
Yeah. Oh, you did 2 viewings. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, there were 2 different movies. We watched the one, oh gosh, I forget.
Like the OG one.
The Brendan Fraser one, and then the OG one, yeah.
I see. So yeah, if you haven't joined the Discord already, definitely join our Discord, because that's just where the party's at. It's good because it's got to the point now where if I'm not active or if Samson's not active, people are just talking to each other, which is
for sure.
Which is an amazing community. But anyway, enough about us. Let's talk about you, Sho. So just for people who don't know who you are, what like let's take it to the beginnings kind of thing. Like, how did you even get into VR in the first place?
Oh man, honestly, so I started off in the flat gaming industry, right? Mm-hmm. So I used to work with a few gaming websites that are now done. But when I first came to California, I beelined right to the VR stuff before it was ever around. So I've been into VR forever. I worked in GameStops back when the Virtual Boy was around. I was a lifelong VR nut. But my first real entry into VR was Gear VR.
Gear VR.
I was a big Gear VR guy, yeah.
So that's the Samsung one, right? With the phone?
Yeah, that's the Samsung. Yeah, you put the phone in. And that's the only reason I even went. I'm an Apple guy, so that's the only reason I ever went Android, was to just try the Gear VR, and that's it.
And then that's it.
Gear VR.
Wow. And then right now, what do you normally sport? Do you normally sport the Quest? I see it in the background.
Yeah, I'm all Quest. Dual Quest house. I'm all Quest. Secretly Apple. I want Apple to come around, so one day I'll get that. But yeah, I love Quest. It's a good platform.
Nice.
And not PC. I don't have PC VR. I've been told by
many people, including Skiva, you got to go PC VR. So maybe one day, but I'm all Quest.
I do enjoy it. I do have a question since you brought up Virtual Boy. Have you installed Virtual Boy games on like via SideQuest on? Yeah, okay.
I have done that. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I've actually never played. I've never played those games. I've never played.
They made me motion sick, but
yeah, they're great nostalgia pieces. They're great to go back and look at, but you're not going to play it for more than 2 minutes.
No.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say 5 minutes or under. It warns you after 8, I think. After a very short period of time, it's like, take a break.
Oh, really? Fair enough. Oh, no, with Virtual Boy, wasn't that just like on a stand and you had to like just put your eyes into it, or could you hold it up?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But the thing about the Virtual Boy, in fact, there should probably be more emulation of those type of games on Quest anyway, right? There's a Game Boy one, I think I remember, on SideQuest that you can play old Game Boy games. So,
I just want Xbox games for like the Game Pass to actually be on Quest, so I can just play it on a big screen. Like we were told that was coming. No, in the Kinect, and it might be coming in the next one.
There is a game an app on App Lab, I believe. It begins with a T, Transference or something like this. And it allows you to have a big browser and you can log in. I remember logging in through my
the web browser.
Yeah.
I think there are 2, Wolvik, and there's another one. I know which one you're talking about, but they allow you to do Xbox games.
It was pretty good.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I wonder if the thing that's going to separate these third-party apps that allow you to access Xbox, and what not Apple, Meta and Microsoft finally does is the possibly some kind of official integration with the controller. Maybe maybe it can sense the Bluetooth like they do with the keyboard, and you'll see the Bluetooth controller. Maybe something like that.
I think a lot of people would do it. I mean, I would do it. I don't have an Xbox. I don't have a PC. I'm also I'm on Mac. I have a PlayStation, but I'd love to play Halo again. It's been a long time. I'd love to play Gears again, get into that. We've got Starfield, which is the next big one for Xbox, and I have no ways of playing that one, so it'd be nice.
Xbox Game Pass. That's all you need.
That's all you need. So bring it to Quest. That'll be amazing. Yeah. I know the clouds. I mean, okay, if I'm being really, I know I could do it on the Mac through cloud gaming too, but phone, I wanted to have that big sense of screen and kind of get that futuristic style to it. But so Sho, obviously you're on Quest, right? Did you have the Quest 1 at all, or?
Yes, I've had Quest 1 since day one, and Quest 2 on day one.
Yes, you're definitely OG, definitely OG. What is some of your favorite types of games? Like, what do you kind of like to play?
It's crazy. When I entered VR, I thought what I would be playing mostly would be, traditional first-person shooters and that kind of stuff. But when you get into VR, you find, simulation and social games seem to be really amazing in VR. Things you would never play flat. So obviously, Walkabout is great. It's another big one. I know we're going to talk about Hubris later. Hubris is okay. It's not a bad game. It's pretty good. Yeah, so I feel like things that are more simulation based are more exciting, and definitely things that integrate social. One game I've been playing lately is Dark Sword. I think that came out on Apple. Came out this week.
Oh, was that?
And it's a lot of fun. Nice. Surprisingly, so it's a lot of fun. So yeah,
is Dark Sword an App Lab game?
No. Dark Sword was just officially released on the official store.
Oh, nice.
It's I think
what
it's
what type of game is it?
That's hard to describe. It's more like I want to say it's a wave-based, it's an ascending dungeon. So basically you enter a dungeon, you're trapped with waves of enemies that come at you. So it's a roguelike ascending dungeon, wave-based melee brawl. There you go. Kind of like Sword of Gargantua, but a lot better. That's the best way to describe it.
Right, I see. And this game came out recently, right? Yeah, I'm just looking at it now.
Yeah, it came out last week.
Kind of flew under the radar. I didn't see this one at all. We didn't talk about this on the podcast at all, did we, Samson?
No, it's probably should have been me and Jenna, but might have flown under our radar there.
It was really under the radar, man. It snuck in there.
Oh, nice. Straight to the story.
Beardo Banjo. Yeah, Beardo Banjo did a piece on it. I was going to overlook it, but he really made it look fun, and I picked it up, and I can't put it down.
Sick. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you kind of said it, so let's kind of just get straight into it. Let's talk about Hubris. We spoke about it on the podcast last week in terms of our initial impression.
Wait. Hold on. Sorry to do this. Before we get into Hubris, since you brought up Walkabout, I'm just so curious. Do you have a favorite Walkabout course?
No, I do not. I do not. Okay. I suck. And here's the thing, right? I keep buying courses and don't play them. So I just own all the courses.
Classic.
But one day.
That's a classic Samson move right there of owning everything. But just not
in regarding to games, yeah. Walkabout, I get them all.
Yeah, right.
Fair enough. But the game you have been playing, Hubris, what are your thoughts on them? Because we discussed it last week. We kind of love the way it looks, and it doesn't feel like it's like a 10 out of 10 game or anything like that, but it's still really fun to play that you just want to keep going. And it might be a game that me and Samson actually finish for a change rather than just playing halfway through. But what are your thoughts about the game?
I pretty much what you guys said. I agree with you 100%. I actually think that Mateo 311 said it best, and GT Gamertag said this also. It's not a bad game. It's incredibly ambitious for Quest. And if you're not comparing the PC version with the Quest version, you might find that it's pretty satisfying. One thing I said in my, I don't do reviews, so I guess my impression of it is that it stays with you. It may not be perfect, but it's the sum of its parts. And once you find yourself playing it and getting engaged with it, it stays with you. And I'm probably going to finish it, just like you guys said. I don't finish anything, but I'm going to finish this one.
Yeah, 100%. I was saying last week that if you nitpick this game, you can sort of take it apart, but it is totally, the sum of its parts make it. I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun, and that's ultimately all I care about.
Yeah.
Sure. How much have you played? Have you got like pretty much in like halfway through or anything like that, or?
I am just starting chapter. I think it said the end of chapter 2. So how far have you guys gotten into the game?
Mine's chapter 1. I've just finished chapter 1, so I'm into chapter 2 now.
What's the end break of chapter 1?
Chapter 1 is where you're basically outside for most of it, right? And then end of chapter 1 is that you go down the escape chute kind of thing, and now you're inside the building.
I don't think he's seen human enemies yet.
I have not seen human enemies. No, the last enemies I saw were the crab spiders with the big shells.
Gotcha.
They were that when you first interact with them, and then you kill them, and then you go down the chute, and then chapter 2 starts, and then they start appearing out of nowhere. But
how are you playing? I'm just curious. How are you playing? Are you doing automatic reload or manual reload?
I'm on automatic reload at the moment. I haven't looked at the settings, so I didn't realize that you could change.
Wait, how does the automatic work? It's like
it's stressful.
Oh no, sorry, I'm on manual reload. It's very simple.
Good.
You just push it in, right? Yeah. So I'm on manual.
That totally changes the game. So yeah, I'm glad you're playing it that way.
What's automatic reload like then?
Oh my god, automatic reload is torture. So you have to wait for the weapon to refill.
Oh.
It takes 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And it only fires maybe 8 shots or something like that.
It's quick, yeah.
It's horrible. So yeah, if you're playing it on manual, that completely changes the game.
Yeah, because you can do that really quickly. You just push it up, and then you're good to go.
You can even do it off your chest. I end up doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah. You don't have to use your other hand. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. So I'm on the end of chapter 1. I think Samson, you're also in around chapter 2.
I've definitely finished chapter 2 because I got that achievement. I'm not 100% sure how far I am. I've played for a little over 3 hours, I think. And I don't really want to talk about spoilers.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, sure.
But yeah,
have you met who you're supposed to meet on the? Yeah.
I'm looking. I believe what I'm doing is looking for parts for a coffin.
Okay, you might be further than me. Okay, you might be a little further along than I am.
Yeah,
but yeah.
It's a really fun game, and I mean, I'm playing it on the PSVR 2, and
nice.
It looks incredible. What do you think about the swimming mechanic, especially? Because I've not really done that before, where I've actually swam in an ocean.
I think it's the best swimming mechanic I've seen in VR. It's incredible. I think it's the best part of the game, honestly.
Yeah. Have you nailed it to go up and down and such?
Oh yeah, really, really well done.
Yeah.
What do you think, Samson?
I also love it. So when I first got this game, I was like, I'm going to just hop in and see what's up. So I was actually playing here at my desk, and I kept slamming my hands into the desk because right off the bat, you're swimming. And I was like, all right, I got to stop and just play this later in a bigger play space. But yeah, it feels very natural. I sometimes struggle going down. But that's about it, and it feels great. Honestly, I love all the platforming. I've heard some reviews say that the jumping's a bit floaty, but I just accept that that's the gravity of wherever I am.
That's true,
and I get pretty used to it, and I love platforming around. So just jumping, grabbing can be hit or miss. I've definitely gone to jump and miss.
I've fallen to death many times. Just because I've mistimed a jump, or I've pressed grab and it just never grabbed the ledge. So it's a bit annoying, but it does load up real fast on the PlayStation, so it's okay.
And I do wish, I know you mentioned this show in your video where you were having to jump on the pipes and finding that to be a bit difficult. I also found that a little difficult. I wish there was some way to show feet, without, I don't know how you do it without breaking immersion, like a circle where it's actually you're standing. I don't know how they could possibly do it, but that's definitely something I would like in Hubris 2.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do have a question for you, Dan. So since you're playing it on PSVR 2, I hadn't looked at any video footage of the game prior to playing it. But now that I've seen the PSVR and now PC version, you guys don't have the blue ledges, right? So when you're scaling up,
it's there, but it's not prominent as much as when I saw your video with the Quest version. It looked like the blue was always there, where in the PlayStation 1, the blue does appear at times when you're getting close to it or something, but it's pretty much that it's disappeared until it's one of those things that just fades in and fades out. It's not something that's always there or anything.
Well, it does the same thing on the Quest. It's just that because they're so prominent, it emboldens you to take chances jumping, which is really cool. Like I've done jumps where I'll just take a flying leap and grab at the last second and grab the ledge.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering how that works on PSVR too.
I mean, with the actual, I think it might be very similar, to be honest. With the actual walls or like the rock and such, the blue does appear just telling you where exactly. But when it's like a ladder or when it's like those like red kind of ladder things that are in the ocean kind of thing, they're not blue at all. They're just, you just assume that you can climb. It's like the climbing's good, but it's not as good as something like the Climb 2. It's not as good as Horizon on the PSVR 2. Those climbing physics are a little bit more polished. Where, like, for example, Horizon, you technically don't need any blue markers because you can pretty much climb most areas. And they do it a little bit different. It's more like chalk. It's like white chalk, which is kind of integrated.
Like the Climb.
Yeah, like Climb as well. It does feel better in there. I don't really miss any climbs. What I did notice in your video show, though, is that you said, like the rope, for example, it depends where your hands got to be placed at like right areas. Otherwise, it can lose the tracking and such. I've not had any issues on the PlayStation VR version for the hands. Like I could do whatever I want with the hands and it's fine. And I'm sure, Samson, with your fancy ass controllers that you bought last week, with those Quest Pro ones,
I never lose tracking.
You got those.
I was so ready to buy a Quest Pro controller.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it took a lot. I didn't want to spend $300 on them. I'm not gonna lie, but
you did.
I am really freaking loving them. Yeah,
yeah. They're nice. They're nice. They're heavy. They're like a little bit heavier, so they feel a little bit more premium, shall I say? And they're nice, to be honest.
I'd say just keep an eye on Marketplace, like twice a week. Boot up Facebook Marketplace and look for them, because I did see a couple for $240, and I bet eventually they'll get down. I'm wondering if they're going to reduce the price once Quest 3 releases, but I don't know. We'll see.
I don't even know now. I wanted to buy them, right? But then after Meta made their announcement, I'm like, what are you guys doing? So what controller is going to be the standard? So I'm going to hold off to see how the tracking works with the new controllers, or see if they just drop the Quest 3 controllers altogether. You don't know what Meta. You don't trust
That is
them.
also what I'm hoping for, is potentially a controllerless edition.
Yeah.
If you will. Yeah.
That's why I've been saying that before. Is like, I hope that there's. I know they say it's starting at $500, but I'm wondering if there's a way on the website where you could kind of build your own bundle in a way where where you can just buy it with the Quest Pro controllers for another $100 or something like that. I would definitely do it that way. But at the same time, I want to kind of check out what these Quest 3 controllers are like. And like you said, Sho, and see how the tracking is probably not going to be as good, but is pretty good compared to the Quest 2, right? So I don't know. It's one of those.
There's no way they go backwards. There's no way.
It's a weird one.
It's
a weird one because for VR headsets, you don't really want more than one set of controllers because you don't really need it, right? It's not like with the PlayStation. You'd probably, if you get a second controller and it's like a fancy limited edition one, that's fine. You now have two controllers if someone comes around. You don't really want to own more than two controllers because you don't really need to unless you're really concerned about battery life and you're playing for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Sho, are you now tempted?
I will say, yeah. You tempted?
No, go ahead, Samson. Go ahead, man.
So I play a lot of Walkabout, right? So my right controller is always, with the regular controllers, is always die. I eventually always have to change the batteries, and with these, I just get in; they're always fully charged because I generally just throw them on the charger when I'm done, and that is kind of nice. And I haven't had issues. I think I've heard they last 6 to 8 hours, and I'm never in VR longer than 4 or 5. So.
In a single session?
End.
Yeah. But here's the thing, man, and this is what I'm going to regret. You're not going to be able to replace taking a AA battery, putting one in. That's cheap and quick.
That's true.
I don't want to have to wait to charge my new controllers, and I feel like I guess that's the direction we're going. Whatever.
It's a weird one though, because like if you're on the Xbox platform, there's still batteries in their controller.
Absolutely.
Right? They're still kept with that system.
Not in mine.
All these like fancy controllers down there, just like for us peasants, we'll stick with our AA batteries.
I love it.
But yeah, you're right. It's the good thing about the batteries for the Quest 2 is that they last a long time. The controllers. I remember when I first got the Quest 2. I don't think I replaced the battery for like 3 months. It just went on for so long, and it was still continuing. I think I've replaced the battery twice since then, but it's not been often. Where the Pro controllers, they're 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours. You need to charge them every single time. I mean, it works when you have a Quest Pro because it comes with a dock, and you're going to put them in that dock anyway. But for your regular Quest owners, you're not.
Oh, these came with the little dock, like the little. It's like a puck, and they go on it. And there's actually a USB-C port on it that I can plug into the headset. I don't usually do that because I got my battery that I charge also while it's charging. And I just keep it. I got my spot for it already.
Yeah. Not to veer off too much into a tangent, but one thing I will give Carmack when he was with Meta is that if you look at a lot of his interviews, it seems like most of the decisions that he made, creative and technically, lean toward the benefit of the consumer. Not saying that Meta's anti-consumer, but making the decision to do USB charging controllers is something that requires eventually, inevitably, an upgrading your controller, right? Because we all know that the battery will fade out as opposed to these traditional controllers. You just AA battery all day long. So, I will miss that touch, those elements that Carmack brought to Meta.
And I mean, that ultimately made him leave in the end of the day, right? It was more because his vision was now going this way, and with the Quest Pro, it's now shot off completely left, and it sounds like that's kind of what made him like, okay, we're just not working together now. We're just on different paths. So it is. I hope he does get back into the VR scene.
He loves his rockets,
but he loves it.
Yeah, he's not coming back. He's done. He's gone.
Yeah, he's done. I'm not. Yeah, I wonder what is. I don't know if he came out with any thoughts for the Apple Vision Pro, but
no, he hasn't said anything yet.
No, I'm not sure.
But did you guys see that Lucky Palmer interview that came out 2 days ago?
I did watch that.
Yeah, he had a lot to say.
Yeah, he had a lot to say. He's always very interesting to hear too.
Yeah,
he had a lot of shots at Meta too.
Yeah, not untrue. But Lucky, whether you agree with him politically or not, he's a really smart guy. He's a really, really smart guy. And I thought the comparison they made on that interview, calling him Tony Stark, wasn't far off. Wasn't far off at all.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Fair enough.
His mullet looks weird.
It is weird, right?
I was like, does he have a mullet? He really does.
It's very hard to pull off a mullet, to be honest. You got to be a really certain type of person. But
well, he has some good thoughts though. If you haven't yet, I recommend listening to it. It is a very long one. It's like an hour 45, but I do recommend.
And only like 15 minutes are about VR.
Yeah, fair enough. I've not seen the whole thing, so I didn't realize that only 15 minutes of it was VR. I must have just seen the VR part then. What else does he talk about then in that whole?
He talks a lot about Anduril, his drone, like the drones.
Oh, I
he
see.
Talks a good amount, just government funding and like how all defense work works. And then I guess he's doing things with forest fires, and so there was a little bit about that at the end.
Okay, nice.
Mostly Android though. Yeah.
Fair enough. Sure, if I'm correct, right behind you, you've also got the Bobo battery packs or such.
Oh God, I got a lot of those. Yeah.
I got a few. Whoa, like 6 of them I see. Nice.
Five Bobo. Okay. Yeah, wait. Five on it.
Yeah. I'm like I said in the last podcast that I've now learned from my Quest 2 not to get a 64 gig one, or i.e. the lowest storage, and also 100% to get a battery strap. That's the way forward, because my Quest can only handle 2 hours max now. It's got to that point. So what do you think of the Bobo? Are you a big fan of those ones? Are they interchangeable and such? They look great on the pictures.
They're great. They're great.
Yeah.
What's the competitor to Bobo? I know they're a big
Kiwi
sponsor for a lot of things. Which one? Yeah, Kiwi. Aren't they similarly designed?
Yeah,
I think so.
Don't they have similar?
They both
designs?
have hot swappable ones.
Yeah. So you probably can't go wrong either way. But I think the bubble straps are great. They make great products.
Are they very comfortable? Is the strap very comfortable?
Well, they make several versions of the strap. Right. So this is the one I have here is modified. So it's I need the overhead piece, and a lot of the straps don't have that. So I need that. A lot of people want the Halo thing, which is this one, which I don't like. It's a bit too bulky for me.
Yo, that one. All right, so I have their original, or one of the other Halo straps. So it had this top strap, but then they changed it to the one you have, and those things would push in on my head and really, really found them uncomfortable after a short period of time.
That's why I have 5 batteries, because I keep buying straps and they keep giving you batteries with the straps. So that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, okay.
It's for the people. It's for the people. They, they
Right,
gotta know.
right.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So, Sho, let's kind of talk about the hardware wise in terms of the
Yeah.
Meta Quest 3. Let's talk about that one because obviously this is the Let's Talk Oculus podcast. Let's start off with
Right on.
that. First of all, what were your initial impressions on the actual headset itself? I know you came onto our live stream for the showcase.
Yeah, and that was a fun live stream. Man.
Thank you.
You guys did a great job with that.
Thanks. So, but yeah, what did you think?
Yeah,
What do you think of the Quest 3?
I mean, there's nothing to think yet, right? Like, we don't really know much. We know that it's a performance boost, but we aren't really going to see that yet. Sure. We just got a performance boost on our Quest 2. Yeah. So I suspect that the first batch of games, we're not going to be able to tell the difference. Maybe there may be less heat. I think we're going to start seeing more. We're going to see mixed reality experiences, obviously, because of the new camera. But I think it's too early to tell if it's going to be a significant enough jump to matter for what most gamers want.
Okay.
I'm happy with it. I'm probably.
You're going to be a day one, though, I assume.
Yeah. Yeah, I love. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah,
for sure. It's just one of those things that you're actually right. The big performance jump, you might not notice the biggest difference when you first buy that Quest 3, but there's one thing for sure, and I don't know if you've tried the Quest Pro, but the Quest 3 is going to have those pancake lenses, and they're going to look sharp. They're going to look very sharp.
So I hear.
Yeah. So you've not tried the Pro?
No, man. I went to AWE and there were pros all over the place, and I still didn't get a chance to put one on my face. It's crazy. Yeah.
Fair enough. But yeah, the first thing I noticed with the Quest Pro, I don't know, Samson, you jumped into it for like 15 minutes as well, but is when you see the menu and how sharp the text is and everything is just so clear. And it's not like it's not clear on the Quest 2, it's just sharp. It's just very sharp. That's the right word to use. And I think that's what people are going to notice immediately. When it comes to the actual games, is it going to look substantially better than the Quest 2? Probably not out the gate. You're probably right.
Well, it'll depend on the developers, yeah? Like, they'll have to they'll have to make their game take advantage of them, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, what's interesting about that is, if you look at there's Breachers, there's Walkabout, there's Red Matter 2, and now Hubris. Yeah, it's totally based on developers, but I suspect that most developers, looking at their resources and the type of games they're able to put out on their team size, the games probably aren't going to substantially change.
No.
We're going to have to see these first-party developments from Meta. Those studios are going to be leading the way. Mm-hmm. And I think based on the showcase, we've seen Meta's kind of more committed in this next generation to putting out some high-quality games.
Yeah, that showcase.
I assume Asgard's Wrath 2 will be better on the Quest 3.
But it's got to run on Quest 2,
yeah,
so
exactly.
How much more better can it be, right?
It's the bottleneck, right? It's just your common denominator. You got to. That's the problem when Quest 1 was around. Is the Quest 2 kind of suffered for a little bit because it had to run on Quest 1. But the good thing about it though is that Quest 1 was significantly. It was a significant downgrade compared to the Quest 2, right? Where the Quest 2 and Quest 3 are going to be closer in terms of an upgrade, so it might not be such a bad different
maybe
what you'd think, right? But then at the same time, you see Meta pushing out these updates where they're improving the GPU every time, right? Eventually, this Quest 3 might be substantially better than that Quest 2, and that's probably when the time Quest 2 disappears. You know,
I think we're not going to see the difference that we're hoping for. We're not going to see until the numbers of Quest 3 sold are significant enough to abandon the 20 million users on Quest 2. Yeah. And that's just not realistic.
And
so
they're going to keep selling the Quest 2. So they really, that's a big difference also. They stopped selling the Quest 1 pretty quickly after Quest 2's release, I think.
There weren't enough people to worry about cutting the losses for the Quest. They took the calculated risk. Mm-hmm. So, but we have 16 to 20 million people of Quest 2 users. They're not dropping that like that. So I don't think we're going to see that significant difference for a while.
I agree. I think for everyone listening who's obviously got a Quest 2, there's probably not going to be a big need to upgrade immediately. It'll be like a PS4 to PS5 kind of feeling where, sure, like I've had PS5 been out for a couple of years or so, and I have a PS5, but would I say to someone now, like, would you drop your PS4 for the PS5? Not unless your PS4 is ready to go. Like it sounds like a jet
Mhm.
engine like that. Because still, even though there's been a few games that have been really like, oh my god, this is fantastic, it's not big
Mhm.
enough to make that leap. And I think it's the same with the Quest. If your Quest 2 has like stick drift on your controllers or your battery is really suffering, then it's time to upgrade, right?
Mhm.
Then it'll be the
Mhm.
time to upgrade. But
That was happening to me too. That played in part to my Quest Pro
you had stick
controllers.
drift on the
Yeah.
controllers. On which one? On is it both or just the one?
It was on my right controller. When I would play Walkabout, I started just like randomly teleporting sometimes, or
Oh,
if I was flying, I would just keep going. I was like, this is really frustrating.
That just started happening to me with my left controller. I was playing the Dark Sword game, and I bought some WD Contact 40
Yeah.
to try to fix it. Okay.
yeah.
So it's not just me. Good to
You
know.
just
No.
fix it, Sho,
I've
by getting those Quest Pro controllers. That's how you fix it.
Right? Yeah. Why not? Yeah, I'll spend $300, or I'll spend $8.99 on some WD 40.
That's true. Yes, sounds a little bit better.
I'm most excited for the mixed reality at Quest 3. I've actually been buying games that I see on sale that I know will run mixed reality well.
Mm-hmm.
Like Aspire 2. I didn't own that one. I saw their ad, their mixed reality. I was like, boom, I'm getting it. It was 40 something % off last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm so excited for those. It just looks so cool to be able to. Yeah, like Demio. Oh my god.
If it looks as good as the
Yeah.
trailers, then I'm all for it, right? It's if it looks so pristine, and the main thing for me is more like in the Quest Pro when I had it for a little bit, Demio still looked really good, but the surroundings didn't look
Mhm.
very good, so you didn't really want to play it. And plus, they had issues where you had to map out your desk and your bed and your walls and everything around you because there's no depth sensor in the Quest Pro
Yeah.
to start with. Well, at least this one, it's going to know exactly where everything is, which is going to be good. But yeah, I just hope the trailer made it look really good, and I just hope
Yeah.
it is what they showed. But what is it mixed reality on your radar at all? Is this something that you just want to try, but then it's probably not going to be your main thing?
No, I've been trying it. I've been trying it with the existing games. It's cool.
Nice.
It's really cool. It feels like I feel like we're going to get mixed reality experiences that are cool. I'm wondering what kind of meta support we're going to get, because I don't think it's cool. It's a cool gimmick for games, but I think mixed reality really comes through with productivity. And how can we try? What's meta going to do with that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Have you ever tried?
That's what I want to see.
Have you ever tried any like productivity stuff in the Quest 2? Like with the multiple screens or Horizon Workrooms or anything like that?
Oh, definitely. I use Workrooms. I've used Immersed a lot. Immersed is fantastic if you're into that. I pair my Bluetooth keyboard. I have a travel kit where I take a Bluetooth mouse and a portable keyboard, and I travel with that when I need to do work on the Quest.
Nice.
The problem with Quest, as with all things meta, unfortunately, everything feels taped together with Scotch tape. It doesn't feel like it's stable. Yeah. So when people are looking at the Apple Vision Pro and they're seeing $3,500, they're thinking, "Oh, that price," but it's going to work.
It's going to be Meta, perfect. It's going to just work out the box. You're right.
Which is crazy.
The software for Meta has been very, very poor since the Quest Pro came out. Actually, it's been having more and more issues where sometimes it just freezes, sometimes it just doesn't really load, or sometimes you just have to restart your whole Quest just to get it to update so you can play the game and such, right? Which is for us, it might not be. I mean, for us, sure, it would be frustrating, but because we're kind of more enthusiasts, we kind of don't mind going through the pain to kind of just getting it working. But your average consumer who's just plays VR casually, is not really into the VR scene, but just likes to play VR as another form of entertainment. They're not gonna. As soon as they get all that issues and such, they're like, I'm gonna put it in the box and just leave it on the side.
Okay, so I was going to do a video about this, but I changed my mind because it sounds too mean. Meta's problem to me is that they are not a consumer-focused company, right? They Lucky Palmer actually had a really great point in his interview where he said if he were to put out the Quest Pro, what he would have done is had software ready for it to show off to developers so they can see what the software can do. Meta just drops stuff out and hopes for the best and then abandons it just as quickly. So I don't know what to think about mixed reality. I know that Apple's going to do mixed reality very, very well. Will Meta do it even though they had a 2-year lead? Will they do it? I don't know. We'll see.
What is your opinion on this show? The fact that Quest 3 will be so much more advanced than the Quest Pro, And do you thus think that a Quest Pro 2 is around the corner? Because it
Nah,
looks convoluted to me, like what to the consumers even. Like, why would I get a Quest Pro if it's worse in so many ways than the Quest 3? Am I getting the Quest 3 for productivity and all that?
nah. They said, I think Meta even said, I can't remember if it was if they said or not, but there's not going to be a Quest. They pushed off their plans for Quest Pro 2 until the technology matures a bit, because I think they wanted, if you, between all these different interviews, between what Ian Hamilton said on Upload VR and people who have seen the Apple, the real Quest Pro 2 as they envisioned is probably as expensive as Apple's headset. It's just as capable and powerful, and if they continue to put out these iterative less powerful things to compete, it's just going to muddy the brand. So they would rather wait to put it out when it's ready. What I The only thing that might stop me from getting a Quest 3 on day one is if I believe they're going to put out a Quest 3 Pro, which is basically the same thing with eye tracking.
Yeah.
I'll wait for the eye tracking.
Yeah.
Because I think we've seen from Thrill Seeker's video, you can do the Apple UI on Meta. And I'm willing to wait for that. And I'll pay a little bit more for that.
Eye tracking's phenomenal. It was okay. I mean, the Quest Pro's eye tracking was good, but there was nothing that you could really utilize, at least what I was using, apart from just making funny faces when you're in multiplayer games. But the eye tracking is available in the PSVR 2, and just navigating the UI / like menus. So like when you're in Horizon, you're just looking at the menus and you're just clicking with your trigger or something. You don't have to lift your hand up or anything like that. That's kind of what Apple's going towards as well, and it just works so seamlessly. And you're trying, when you first see it, you're kind of like trying to catch out the system, like I'm gonna look over there, I'm gonna look over there, but it's just so good. And in terms of gaming, Switchback VR, which is on the PSVR 2, not the best game is what I anticipated. It was actually, I would give it like a 6 out of 10 type of game, but it does have fun little parts where when you blink, like different silhouettes kind of move, and you kind of try not to blink because you don't want them to come alive and kill you. And there's another part where it's like, don't blink. If you blink, the thing's going to scream at you as well for horror. And it's just those little bits where eye tracking can work really well. And plus, foveated rendering, right? It knows where you're looking, so everything else is blurry, kind of like your vision in real life, right? Wherever you're focusing is where all the power is going towards, and it's going to make games look incredibly better. So I think you're right. I think if the Quest 3 could have a pro version with eye tracking for, I don't know, $200 more or something like that, then maybe that's the way forward. But I don't know if they're going to do that, to be honest. I'm not sure.
They have to, right? I mean, well, first of all, how much would you guys pay if you thought there might be a Quest Pro? What's the top end that you would pay for something like that? With the same thing with the eye tracking.
If them adding the eye tracking also means that these games will now be foveated rendering, then I would say $200 more.
$200 more?
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm probably in the 100 to 200. I'd be willing. I'm curious what the hard drive space is, because they've only mentioned this 128. Is the other one going to be 512? What are my options going to be?
I would hope so. Maybe 1 terabyte. Because how big is Asgard's Wrath 2 going to be? Right? And is that what we can expect going forward?
That's going to be the gold standard. Yeah. That's your gold standard game for your Quest 3. And that's got to be 60 gig. It has to be, or something like that. I think they said it was going to be 30. Medal of Honor's 45. 30. Grid. Yeah. The Grid VR. That's the racing game. That was like 30, 35.
I like those games, and I've literally uninstalled them just because they take up too much space. And I like those games, but if I have to make a choice, they got to go. They're too big.
They're just too big. I mean, I've got a 64 gig Quest. I can't even fit Medal of Honor right now unless I have
factory reset.
This is my Medal of Honor Quest. There's nothing else that goes on this machine. Because there's so much storage that's in the cache as well now. Like it's just not much. There's not enough for Medal of Honor. So yeah, it has to be, because when the 64 gig Quest came out, the reason why I bought it is because I looked at all the games and I was like, these games are 5 gig or less, right? With maybe the exception of Walking Dead, but pretty much all the games are less than that, and that's going to be fine. But games have just got bigger and bigger, and games like Walkabout, when you download all these DLCs, also become bigger and bigger. I mean, Samson, I don't know what your Synthrider's gigabyte
My
is.
Synthrider's at like 14 now. I noticed that 4VR Bowl is like 8 gigs too. It's crazy.
Really? Why?
I do not know.
Yeah,
I do not know.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, there are a lot of
Do they give you
visual assets in there. The actual balls itself are pretty impressive,
right?
but yeah, they're still 8 gig. I don't, it's optimization, right? Some games are like 40 gig, and it's like, why are you 40 gig when what's the game that After the Fall? That's only like 3 gig. And I'm like, how is that 3 gig? Medal of Honor's 45 gig. It's like, what? What?
Well, it's like Destiny, right? It's a lot of that stuff is server side, so
Yeah.
that's probably.
It does say it's only 3.5 gigs on the store site, but I swear I looked I was going through my storage, and I swear it said it was 8. I could be mistaken, but nonetheless, they are getting bigger. Walkabout's over 4 now, I think, too.
Yeah. How about you, Sho? What would you spend for an eye tracking Pro Quest 3 Pro, essentially?
I think if the Quest Pro had this camera that we're getting for the Quest 3, the $1,000 they landed on would be a fair asking price.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that's
with I guess I didn't factor in also they have the Pro controllers as well, so that would be an extra $100 at least as well on top of that.
Essentially, it's $700 now. Yeah, the headset without the controllers. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, plus it would be $256. I guess that kind of makes a lot of sense. But I mean, if they're going to do a Pro version, that's what they're going to have to do, because if they don't do another Quest Pro and it just this one just lingers, this one, you might as well pull this one off the market at some point, because the Quest 3 is going to be, apart from eye tracking, have everything much better. Everything.
Well, that's the question. Who is this for? That's the thing I'm still trying to figure out. Who is the Quest 3 actually for? Because I don't think most gamers want it.
The Quest 3 or the Pro?
The Quest, if you think, well, because you're not going to get the performance jump. It's not going to make this suddenly PC VR gaming, right?
No.
So I want the Quest 3 because I'm an enthusiast and I think mixed reality is cool. Mm-hmm. But I don't think most of the people that are playing Walkabout well, no, that's not fair. Most of the people who are playing Hubris care about mixed reality. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand why they would omit the eye tracking and not just jump right to Quest 3 being $800, $900, $1,000. I don't know what the Quest 3 is. 100%. So it's confusing.
You're right, though. I will be interested to see if they do that route that you're saying is like the Apple route in terms of having a MacBook and MacBook Pro, where they have a Quest 3 and a Quest 3 Pro, and they're your two going forward. But yeah, very interesting one. I'm not too sure. I'm excited about the Quest 3 just because, like you said, I'm an enthusiast. You know, do I really need to buy it? Not really. But will I buy it? Of course.
I'm curious how many people out there feel like they will upgrade that aren't enthusiasts from a Quest 2 to a Quest 3.
Well, I know people in our Discord, some of the patrons, for example, Dave, he's like, there's no point of me buying this until...
And he's an enthusiast.
He's an enthusiast. Yeah. He's literally, his new place that he just bought, he just dedicated a VR room. Like, he made sure that the place that he was buying had a big amount of space that he could have just for VR. So he's an enthusiast. But you're right. I didn't really think of that, to be honest, but you are right. And plus, it's more expensive. It's going to be $500 US, you know?
If the bulk of existing Quest 2 users are the fitness people and casual people, clearly that's the bulk of who bought the Quest 2, right? Do they care enough to spend more money to shift out of their perfectly fine ecosystem right now, games play perfectly well for the type of games that they want, to get something where they can see their real world environment? Maybe it's up to Meta to make some really compelling software to prove that's the case. And so far, Meta has not evidenced that they're willing to do that.
The biggest
it will be more comfortable, but yeah.
True. That's I forgot about that. That's a big thing.
It's a big thing. I'm really intrigued to see what it feels like on your face, because it isn't lighter. It is pretty much the same weight, but the only difference is it is going to be closer to your face, so it might feel a little bit lighter, more comfortable. Mm-hmm. I'm really intrigued to see it, because I was hoping that it would be considerably lighter, and that's where your fitness enthusiasts or such will buy in, because I want a lighter version of this because it's going to be better when I am doing my supernatural workouts or such. Mm-hmm. But it's not lighter.
Well, I wonder, does it, because of the proximity to the face, right? Is there less of a gap because that's a big issue with this, with the fitness stuff, is you breathe and it fogs up.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering now, even if it's the same weight but distributed differently with less fog, is it an overall more comfortable experience for fitness?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. These are like
Yeah.
That's a great
these are the
standpoint.
things that we just need to know, you know, and we'll obviously know closer to the time or when we actually get our hands on it come October
Sure.
and such. But we'll see if there's any more developments in that Connect, which is, it's not far away. It's only a couple months or so
Yeah.
away. So anyway, that was
Already got the days off.
yeah. Well,
Right.
maybe we'll do a live stream, but it's weird because it's the 27th and 28th. So I don't know
Yeah.
what it's going to be like, or if they're
I
going
thought
to.
about putting in for the Friday too, because if it's in person, maybe, you know, go. Maybe fly out there.
Ah,
Yeah.
you might get invited. Yeah.
All right, that's the perfect wrap up for part 1. And part 2, we'll talk more about the Apple Vision Pro and see where that lies, because I know, Sho, you're a big Apple guy, so I'd be interested to see your thoughts on that.
Hey, we know public lobbies in VR games can be a bit toxic, feel a bit empty at times. That's why we created the Let's Talk Oculus Discord, a friendly community that you can join for multiplayer meetups, general VR chat, the game, and chat about VR, fitness motivation, and there's even a very impressive 3D printing channel. Join over 100 of our community members in the Let's Talk Oculus Discord for free. The link is right in the description.
All right, welcome back to part 2. Let's talk more about the state of VR. And I'm going to throw it straight to you, Sho. The Apple Vision Pro, it's finally been announced. And on last week's podcast, we finally talked about it on the podcast. And I was saying how much I'm so excited for it. I mean, it's probably not going to be something I buy unless I can learn how to develop for, which I'm kind of trying to do. But I'm very excited that they're in the space, and it's all up from here what they can do. But what are your thoughts, or what are your like initial thoughts, at least, of when you first saw it?
I mean, I'm super excited about it. I can't afford it, but I would love to own one. I think it is a fantastic piece of tech. I know everyone's hoping that the price will go down, which it will go down, right? But Apple put the very best products into the device. So if anything, there's going to be a price drop, but also compromises in what you get in the hardware. So I think that has to be considered. Also, if you come from the production side, I think you pay far more for tech like this than you get for $3,500. Like, you're already paying for a high end, Ultra Mac, whatever laptop. So this is kind of a deal when you think about it. So I think the common person is surprised by the price. For the production world, if this is your thing, like, I was an editor for a long time, this is super exciting. I would love to have this thing.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, because the Apple the Mac Studio, I believe, is I think, what is it, 2,000 or something like that alone. But then once you upgrade it to like specs in that kind of production mode, then you are spending upwards 3,000 plus. The MacBook Pros can be upwards 3,000 plus with the Ultra M2 Ultras and all that jazz, right? The Mac Pro alone is more expensive than this Apple headset, right? So you are right. This is for the developers who are really want to develop for AR and you want to develop on the Apple side, and also for the people who are in these high industries, who are going to use this tech for productivity or production or such. It essentially is your computer on your face. You got your M2 chip right in there, right? It's my Mac is an M1 chip. It's more powerful than my laptop technically, and it's just on your face. Joe, have you used the M devices at all? Have you used the Apple Silicon?
Oh yeah, I'm running off of an M1 not MacBook Pro, an M1 Mac Mini.
Yeah.
I used to be laptop based, and I have an 8 gig Mac Mini, and that thing does everything I need it to do, everything. And then my iPad, which is the M1 iPad Pro.
Dan used to run PCVR off his Mac Mini.
Yeah, not on the M1 though, because it's the Intel version. I had the
Intel.
I had the Mac Mini Intel. I upgraded it myself, so I put 32 gigs of RAM in it. But I bought an eGPU. It was a Radeon 580, I believe, was the actual GPU. And it was Thunderbolt, right? So I just plugged that right in. It worked like an absolute dream. Like, I put my Quest 2 through there. Medal of Honor back when it was only on PC VR played perfectly. We had so many people online saying, "Oh, we've got issues and such." No issues whatsoever. Ran absolutely smoothly, and I was like, "Wow, this is just an Intel Mac Mini, which cost me not much. It was not expensive. Those computers, even now, like the Mac Minis, are still not that expensive." And I'm just throwing an eGPU on it, and it's just worked perfectly. It's really well.
Which Mac Mini was that? So was it the
Intel.
last Intel
It was the
Mac
last
Mini that
Intel
came out
one.
before the M1?
Yeah, it was the like space gray one that you could buy.
Right.
Yeah.
So why'd you got rid of it, or you don't have it
I got
anymore?
rid of it because I do I regret it? Maybe a tad.
Dan sells all his tech. He was thinking about selling his Switch. The guy loves his Switch.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't explain my brain habits, but essentially what I wanted was more portable. Because I'm sometimes back in the UK. So like when we did the live stream a few weeks ago, that was in the UK because I was there for a few weeks. And the fact that I have my M1 MacBook Pro, which is essentially what yours is, but in a laptop, that does everything. I do the podcast and video edit it on Final Cut Pro, and it works perfectly. And I can take it wherever I want. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to more of a laptop so I can be more flexible with that and not tied to my room. But yeah, that Mac works so well.
Now picture you're running your system now, but you have the Apple Vision Pro, so you can go portable anywhere, and you have all the monitor space, and you feel like playing a game, you can pull up a little 2D flat game on another monitor in your headspace.
Absolutely.
That's the idea. That's the dream. That sounds super dope.
That's the dream that Quest Pro sold me on. And then I got the Quest Pro and I was like, this doesn't really work how it's meant to work. I pull up one I used Immerster too because I thought Immerster was better than Horizon Workrooms. Workrooms was more like when you had multiple screens, all the screens were quite like pretty quality, like 4K, where Immersed, the first screen would be, but the other two are a little bit less quality. But with Immersed, you had so much more flexibility, so much more customizability, what you could do with it. So and plus it didn't have any bugs, where the Workrooms, the amount of times where I had like mouse bugs where it would just stutter and such. And I was like, okay, the Immersed is the way forward. But it still wasn't what I was sold on with the Quest Pro. And this is what Apple's now doing. And like you said before, Sho, I know that I'm probably not going to buy it, but because it's so, and I'm in Canada, so it's like even more expensive, or at least visually, mentally, it looks like it's more expensive. It's like 5,000 or something when you do the math that way. But I know it's going to work. I know it's going to work exactly how they're visioning it. Maybe there'll be a couple of things that might not work as well or as you thought it would be, but it is at the basic level, it's going to work. It's going to run those monitors and it's going to be smooth and it's going to work seamlessly, and that's what you're paying into. That's why it's $3,500. But I know it's a bit Apple fanboy-ish, but they just work. The continuity it's such a big thing with Apple products.
I'm excited for the big tech channels to get their hands on this, and I'm curious. I'm pretty certain like MKHD is gonna love it and talk so big about it, and how much that will get consumers being like, maybe I do want Gen 2 of this.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the biggest challenge of the Vision Pro, as much as I want it, I think Apple's trying to sell this thing as a lifestyle choice, when I think that might be that makes it sexy, but I don't think that's very realistic. I honestly feel it's more of a tool, because no one's going to walk around with this thing on their head most of the day. And that's what Apple's selling, and that's not very realistic.
Right.
So I don't know what's going to get grandma to buy it. Honestly, it seems cool, but I don't know what's going to make grandma buy it. I think that's the one thing Zuckerberg said in his interview with what's the guy's name? Lex Friedman. I don't know if you guys saw that one. But he said, he said that the one thing he's right about, I agree with him. Apple's creating a system that is closed off from everyone. Yeah, you can see people in the room, but it's not social at all, right? I would rather, if I'm going to spend that kind of money, they're trying to sell everyone on the fact that, you get this big giant screen TV and you would be paying so much more money, but you're going to be in a room with other people. So that's not the same. It's not apples to apples. So he's right about that. That's not something that's exciting. And I don't think that's a future most people are going to want. no matter how Apple packages it.
I
No.
will say I'm surprised by the number of grandmas I play Walkabout with
Oh yeah,
in their Quest
yeah,
2s. I'm like, this
yeah.
is crazy.
It's true. You're right. Actually, we spoke about that when we were playing Walkabout on Wednesday, and I was like, "Hold on, there's quite a lot of it's wild, isn't it?" And I'm in the supernatural fitness group on Facebook, and there was a lot of like
Yeah.
older moms or grandmas or
Oh yeah.
like 50-year-old or whatever, all in there playing this fitness game. Like, wow, you know, amazing.
Yeah, that's how my wife plays. She does not supernatural. She'll do Les
Mills.
Les Mills. Yep.
Les
The
Mills. Thank you,
non-sub
Les
one.
Mills.
Yeah.
And of course Walkabout. Everyone does Walkabout.
Everyone
So,
does
yeah.
Walkabout.
It's
Everyone,
perfect.
my whole room is my whole I live with two housemates. They don't really play VR at all, but they both played Walkabout. My girlfriend only played Walkabout and loves it, but doesn't really want to play anything else, but just wants to play Walkabout. It's just that game. It's one of those, right? But I don't think
It's a perfect game.
I don't think Apple's going for the grandmas though. I think you're right. I think they're going just like your MacBook in terms of your MacBook Pros and such. I think they're going for more of the higher end market. At least that's what I think. I'm not sure because your other option is going, are they trying to replace the iPad in a way or trying to do the same kind of thing as an iPad, right? Is that what?
No, the iPad's done. It's over. The iPad's done. The iPad's. I wanted to throw my iPad through the screen when I saw it. I'm like, this is over. Because they've never found a use for the iPad. Not really, right? It's always been in this weird spot. And it's exactly. Yeah. I have an iPad Pro and I make myself try to use it in the way I want it, but it doesn't work. But it's the iPad. And I kind of disagree with you. I think they're trying to sell it as a device for everyone, that make people interested in that lifestyle. But no, they definitely want the money. That's what they showed in the marketing videos. They showed a woman on the couch enjoying this on her comfortable couch, enjoying the Vision Pro.
On the airplane, putting it on the airplane, watching a movie. The one thing I really didn't like about it was when the dad was filming his kids, and then you can watch that film. It felt too creepy because also the Apple Vision Pro, it looks kind of sleek, but once you see the cameras, because there's like an image where you can see all the cameras, it looks like a spider. Like it looks like a spider's face with all those eyes and such. And I'm
more eyes than on a spider.
True, that's true. And it just looked creepy how he was like sat on the edge of the couch just looking at his kids because he's trying to capture those moments. But then you're not in that moment, and it's just that's the only thing that I'm like, and maybe the FaceTime AI is a bit Black Mirror-esque, but in the end of the day, it is what it is. Sometimes at Apple,
people get used to that.
Yeah, sometimes people won't use that.
There were times where people thought it was weird when you brought out your phone to start recording things. Like, enjoy the moment. Like, people say that at concerts all the time. Like, put your phone away. Enjoy this. Like, watch it live. And so I imagine over time, it will become more socially normalized. Like, people used to be, why you get your AirPod Pro in there? Why you got those Q-tips in your ears all the time?
Right. I disagree, Samson. I don't know. I don't think there's going to come. I think when I said they're going to get used to it, I mean they're going to get used to the avatar, the digital avatar. I don't think people are ever going to get used to the giant recording things because look, how many times do you see people pulling out an iPad to record something?
Not many.
Do you see that very often?
No, you see one or two, and then you're like, "What are they doing?"
People are recording on their phones all the time, though.
On the phone, why? Because the phone factor is small, and you're mentally thinking it's invisible. The iPad is a device that covers your face, and it's present. It's there. When you're wearing these Star Trek Geordie goggles everywhere, you're going to see it, and no one's going to feel comfortable about that.
No, I mean, it looks like from the marketing as well that this is just a home device, right? It's not something that you might take it out to go to the airport, or you might take it out for like the library, but it's not like you're walking around the streets with this. This is not.
It was never used outside,
No, I don't think it's ever. I don't think it's meant to be that either, and I think that's what they're going for. Sure, maybe in the future when we have like proper AR glasses and such, of course that will be more from an outdoor thing, but right now this is definitely not. This is more of an indoor. And once again, I guess you're right, Sho. It's like an iPad in the end of the day. There's not the only time people bring out the iPad is maybe if they're sat on a bus or something like that, but they're not walking down the street with their iPad in their hand going through, like very rarely, if that. But you're right, that might be the market. And with it called Vision Pro, you'd assume there'd be a vision a standard one, a
Sure,
cheaper version,
sure.
right? Which may not have all
Mhm.
the bells and whistles, but will still do just enough, just like how the standard iPad is.
Yeah.
You know,
Can I ask you another question? So everyone wants this smaller form factor, right? So everyone's saying one day this stuff is going to get down to the size of shades and regular sunglasses, right? So let's assume that we're there, right? What's the use case you guys see this? How is this being used? Are you going to wear the shades all the time and interface with tech, or do you only pull it out when you need to do something specific? How does that work?
I would say for me, I would say that you wear them all the time, like your own glasses, like you're wearing now, and
So 24/7, you're wearing
not
glasses.
24/7, but like if you're out and about, you would just take your glasses, like you would take your phone,
Hmm.
you know, and
Wallet, keys, glasses.
what it exactly right,
Right.
and because of how they look, because they probably look like your glasses show with just like some cameras on the side, and let's just pretend it's that, like the Ray-Ban kind of partnership. My vision is the AR apps like Maps, for example. Like, okay,
Hmm.
you're in a new city. I need to go to this restaurant. Hey, I'm not going to say hey, Sue. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. I have a home
Yeah.
pod right in front of me, and yeah, it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Basically, you say the word, and you can say take me to whatever. I need to go to Luigi's restaurant or something like that, and then it gives you directions right in front of you. There's an arrow, like it is now on the phone, where you can, if you're in major cities, you can kind of pull up your phone and it gives you AR directions, kind of thing. That's what I could see, something like that happen.
Sounds like you should have bought the Google glasses. I think they did though.
They was just ahead of its time. Plus, it looked too creepy with what it looked like, you know. But that's what I envision. I don't envision something as powerful and ever to be as powerful as what the Vision Pro would be in terms of you can have all your devices, you can have all your screens and such. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think these form factors way too small. But I think there is a case where you can have certain AR overlays to your real world, which is going to be very useful, more for like tools. You know, say if you're driving, you can have your actual like right now, if you buy like a newer car, you'll have maybe a heads up display, you know, with like a hologram in the front of the road because of the way they've done it. But you'd have that just in your glasses, you know. That's what I would envision.
I think I see it more, I guess, VR, less augmenting on what I'm seeing and more change, sort of seeing everything through, like how the AVP is, how it doesn't, everything you're seeing is through cameras, right? And then it's re overlaid. I think it's more, it'll be more, I'm hoping it'll be more of that. But yeah, I don't know that it'll ever get to, in my lifetime, that form, like a form factor like that small. But yeah, I do think it'll be a you grab your glasses to go out and do your activities, or maybe if you want to cook in the kitchen, you want some help doing, like, it'll somehow help do that. You throw it on for activities like that, not necessarily wearing them all the
Interesting.
time. Yeah.
So it's still it's basically a tool that augments your existing lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
See, that's the confusing part. And I feel like enough people aren't talking about how does this integrate into your real world, no matter what the form factor is, right? I'm curious about what that world looks like. Like right now, you know, I have a family, I have a daughter, and I have a wife, and it irritates me when we're all in the same room and we're all pulling out our iPads or phones and we're all doing separate things, right? That irritates me to no end. Sometimes I just want no media time. I just want to have. So the world that Apple's trying to create, as much as I like the device, they are saying put this on for entertainment, put this on for everything. And when do you engage with the real world? As opposed to Meta's messaging, for all their faults, I think they're on the right track. This is a tool for interacting socially and for playing games and some productivity. But there is a meta space where you can engage with people across great distances, and it's a social interaction thing. I think that's healthier and more functional than whatever Apple's trying to make. And I'm an Apple fan, but I don't know what their vision is.
It is definitely more of a console, the Quest.
Yeah.
Their vision is it's unclear. They don't have like a specific like Meta has, where they have a specific goal in terms of what they want the Quest Pro to be. Whether or not they're going to get there in the next few years, I don't know. But with Apple, it's kind of what we saw, and I don't know if this is just because it was the first ever unveiling of it, but it showed you a bit of everything in what you could do with it, like a little bit of everything. But in the end of the day, Samson mentioned this on the last podcast, it's the developers who are going to really tell Apple where this is going to go, what this is used for. You know, sure, like on my Apple Watch, I have messages and the weather app and alarm clocks and such, but most people use the watch for the fitness, right? That's that's the main thing. Like I have a couple of fitness apps that I use the watch for, and I exclusively only use the watch for that. I don't really use it for anything else. And I think the Vision Pro is going to be one way. Sure, you could technically do a FaceTime, but it's not going to be used that much. Sure, you could technically record 3D video. And many people are going to use that. We'll see what the developers kind of channel this Vision Pro to be, you know, and what they can unlock with it. It'll be a good education tool too for like schools. That's another thing.
Definitely.
Well, the AVP it doesn't have cell service, correct?
They haven't said anything like that. No.
Okay.
If it's a home device, it wouldn't need to, right? It's going to be Wi-Fi. If it's
Wi-Fi
only
calls.
probably if you're a home device only. There'll be storage on it. Obviously, you'll probably be able to download films onto it, or Apple TV download films, kind of thing. You know, for those airplane. But
they say it's starting, so I guess that's what they're going to charge for it. The storage, This is going to be expensive.
Storage, battery,
storage, subscriptions and such. But I'm just excited that they're playing in this space. As someone who's enthusiastic in VR, and also, I wouldn't say I'm an Apple fanboy. Like I do criticize them a lot as well. But as someone who uses the majority of Apple, and when I look around my room
literally
now,
just talked about a HomePod.
2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 Apple products I can see right in front of me, right, in total. And as someone who uses it day to day, I'm just excited that they're playing in the space that I'm very passionate about. And whether or not I buy it or not is a different question. It's more to do with what they can do with it. What's this going to look like in 3 years' time? You know,
I want to see. There's still 2 more players on the field that have yet to enter the game. That have yet to enter the chat. Valve, and Google. I want to see what they're doing. I think this conversation is not over. Apple has created a different market. I think Valve is going to surprise people, and I'm excited to see what they do. And Google might do something with cloud that we haven't been expecting. So,
and then Google will give up on it.
That's my only problem with Google. I just don't know if it's like with Microsoft too. Is like sometimes they get me really excited and then it just disappears. And but I am excited. I know what you mean. The Google are pushing the cloud. They obviously tried and failed with Stadia, but people who did use Stadia did really like it. They just didn't have enough people on board. So
I was a Stadia owner. Stadia owner. I miss Stadia. It was a flawed concept, but I miss Stadia because it worked well. It works better than Xbox Game Pass every day of the week.
Really?
So
wow.
Yeah. Every day.
What would you say is flawed? What was flawed about it? Why it failed?
So as I understand, I'm not a developer, but I understand that the code base that was required to get games onto the system was a barrier got in the way of allowing developers to make games for it. So although they ran well, you had to get past this specific code base, and that is why we didn't see many multiplayer games on it. It was just more trouble than what it was worth for the small user base. But once you were able to get past that, it's a fantastic system. But it just didn't click. And then Google is kind of flighty when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if it doesn't click, they're not afraid to drop it.
Sho,
not for hard.
When do you think Deckard could be?
I think we're going to see something next year. Yeah, I think we're going to see something next year. Not this year. Maybe next year.
I'm hoping I'm hoping and not hoping that they announce it at on Meta Connect Day, like they did previously. I believe they've done that once to Facebook. But that would make me regret getting Quest 3 day one potentially.
We might have to change the podcast to Let's Talk Deckard.
The ship is sailed.
Honestly, I like the Steam Deck is such a major success, and sure, it's not the perfect console by any stretch of the imagination, but it's such a success in terms of what it came into a market which was dominated by Nintendo, and it's taken it by storm, and they could achieve very similar with the so-called Deckard, the so rumored Deckard, right? Sho, what's your thoughts on it?
So, of the big companies, I'm excited by three of them, right? Apple, Valve, and Nintendo. I count Nintendo only because I like companies that have a long-term vision and that you can trust. So even if they stop doing something, they stop for a reason, that they're going to iterate on the next product and they're going to bring their user base with them, right? Valve is a company that you can trust, right? They're going to put something out. It's going to work well. They will have thought all the way through it, and it will be something that makes sense, right? So I was really excited. It was about a year ago when Bradley talked about some of those design concepts for Deckard. And the thing that really got me interested is when he said that it's going to be something that it should be integrated with the Steam Deck. So it's something, if you're a Power PC user, you can use, but also if you're a Steam Deck, you can build upon that as well. And that's really, really cool, right? For people like me who have no PC, nothing with PC, all I have to do is invest in a $500 or $600 Steam Deck and build up from there. That's really cool. And they're dropping the base stations.
Yeah.
Well, for the beginning users, it has inside-out tracking. But if you still want the base station experience, you can get that too. So it's a system that what's the word I'm looking for? I guess you can build upon it. It's customizable. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah. The fact that the one that excited me when he said that there could be a potential where there'll be some of the computing power will be in the head strap itself. So you could potentially have a very light head strap when you're doing your fitness activities, because those apps are not going to push it or anything like that. But then you want to play something like Hubris in all its glory, you put on your gaming head strap on, and then that boosts the power. Modular is the word. Yeah, that's the one we're looking for.
Yeah, that's it. That was the word. Yep.
That's what really excites me, because then HTC kind of does it. It doesn't, not in terms of it adds processing power, but the new HTC XR Elite, right? Yeah. They do it where you can have your normal head strap, but then you can switch it to like just glasses in a way with just a battery pack. So when you're like in an airplane or sat on your bed or something, you can consume content. I really love that kind of modular design. It gives, because it's with the VR headset, like just with the Quest 2 alone, it's not a one size fits all for all your needs, right? What we have with the Quest 2 is good enough for everything, but it's not a master at something, right? So it'd be good to switch the Quest 2 out with a lighter strap for your like consuming content. You're just laying down watching a movie, and then put on your Elite strap with your battery pack when you're doing a longer play session. It'd be nice to have that more where it's, and plus I know you can change your head strap for Quest 2, but it'd be nice if it is like the HTC where it's very easy, where it becomes you just clip it, done, next one, you're ready to go. And that's what excites me with the Deckard. If they can do like more of a modular head strap design, which one head strap could do more power and such, that is very exciting. Yeah. We might all drop our Quests. It is like Valve is gaming too. Valve is gaming, right? It's like the PlayStation. It's like I didn't really have much hesitancy when I got the PSVR 2, because I was like, I know they are just all gaming. So I'm gonna be playing a lot of games. So this is gonna be the headset I wanna play on. They're all gaming. And Samson, you look very excited.
No, I still haven't tried a PSVR 2. I really want to, but it's just such an investment in that I have this PC. Essentially, I put all my eggs in the PC basket instead of getting.
There's no point in having both. There's really no point.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not one game on that PlayStation which is worth the investment of the whole package. Exactly. And even if you had a PS5, I would still struggle to recommend the PSVR 2, because it is such a hefty cost for what it is right now. That might change if Half-Life comes to it, or that we have another big AAA games coming over the next year or so. But right now, don't worry about it. Your PC is great.
I'm most worried about is all my breaching friends I play breachers with, going to Firewall when that comes out and not being able to play.
Yeah.
Wait, Samson, that's a good point though. So you are heavily invested in the PC world, right?
Yeah, essentially about 2 years ago, I went big on this PC, and since then I've just been mostly buying games on Steam. I still do buy a good amount on Oculus, I'm not going to lie. But I have been building a Steam library. I got the Steam Deck, and I've been loving it. used to be a console guy, and then I sold my PS4. My Xbox One sits somewhere in a closet now since I moved, and all my gaming is just done on the PC now.
The reason I'm asking is because, are you excited about the Prey Dog mod that's coming out?
I am, but this thing's been talked about for so damn long that I'm just like, I'm trying to not get too hyped about it.
Sure.
But I do, as the Luke Ross mods come out and a few of I do pick up PC games that I would not have otherwise picked up just to try playing them in VR.
How do you like them?
I generally do like them. They're never games that I play for a really long time. I will say that. I hop in, I play for an hour or two. I'm like, oh, that was pretty cool. That was worth. And on Steam, you're getting generally, I'm getting the games pretty cheap. Or I'll when I know there's a mod, I'll wish list it and just wait for it to go on a steep sale. But I know one of my friends didn't like the Luke Ross because it was eye alternating. I don't know the specifics of it. That never really bothered me too much, but it was noticeable. It was something like if you shut an eye, it would look real weird. But yeah, generally, I have enjoyed the PC mods that I've played.
But the reason I'm asking that question is because there is an argument. I think Mateo made it in a recent video. You get a large breadth of games on the PC, right? And Prey Dog is going to be an incredible mod when you want to play these games, right? But like you just said, stick with them. They're cool to try it for an hour or so, right? But you're done. As opposed to games made
for VR,
for the PSVR 2, which end up being the best. I mean, most of these games coming out on both platforms are better on PSVR 2 over PC VR. So I don't know if for what is it, $1,000 all in? All in. That's really not bad, right? That's a good deal.
The thing that gets me with the PSVR 2 is that I feel like in some ways it's already dated. For example, I am excited for the mixed reality. It's black and white cameras. The wire kind of gets me. It's big and clunky. It's essentially the same size or weight, I imagine, as my Quest 2 with the Halo strap. And the eye tracking's cool. But then the PSVR 2, it doesn't have any social apps that really that I'd probably want the eye tracking for. So it's got its pros, but for me the cons are things that I'm getting with other headsets. So it's just not 100% worth it.
You mentioned so it might be the same weight as the Quest. I don't know if that is exactly true, but it definitely feels much lighter. Just the way that
it's got no battery, right? So that's probably
it's a Halo strap, and there's no battery in it. The cable isn't actually as bad as I think it is, because as long as so my PS5 is right next to my TV, and before I used to play looking at my TV, but I realized is that when I just turn around, so the cable's behind me, like, and it's much better that way. The only thing I would say with the PlayStation VR 2, well, one thing's for sure, it's still not got as many games as you would like. Like, you see the PC VR games, Half-Life, obviously, Vertigo 2, which came out recently, is another big one that I wish was on the PlayStation. Maybe they're coming, right? The only one thing I don't like about the PSVR 2 is the damn grip button. The grip button is just a button, rather than like on the Quest, you kind of, what do you call it? Like a trigger?
Or pressure, yeah.
It's like so when you're gripping it, it doesn't hurt. When I say hurt, what I mean by is that when you're using the grip button to like climb in Hubris, if you're holding that grip button for long, because it's a button which is, it's not protruded out the controller that much. It's very thin, right? You start to feel it on your hands. So I've actually changed my way on PlayStation when I've played games like Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, Star Wars, for example. I've changed the gun from, instead of grip to hold, you press grip once and you hold it, and then you press grip again and you let go. It's a toggle, which I don't really like as much. I prefer it just to grip to hold because it's more immersive. But I just had to change, because if I'm gripping that gun for so long, it's too much. It's too much. That's the only one thing I would like scrap. I would like, okay, let's make this grip button better and make it feel like a grip button rather than just an actual face button kind of feel.
How do your hands fit in it? Because you got, if I'm, yeah, you got big hands. Yeah, yeah. How do you feel?
Fine. There's no issues. Absolutely no issues. No, I don't have any issues. They're very comfortable to hold. They're very ergonomic. Sure, they're big, but they don't really get in the way because the rings are kind of more on the outside, but they don't really get in the way. The orbs, because there's nothing really I'm pushing together unless I haven't played synth riders on it, for example, but maybe with some games it wouldn't be. But yeah, no, I have nothing but praise for the PlayStation VR 2. It's just, for the price you pay, if you don't have a PlayStation 5 already, it's probably not worth the investment. But that might be changed next year once you have a bigger library, because it's still very, it came out like 3 months ago or 4 months ago, right? It's still
right.
Yeah, it's still like in its soft launch in a way, right? So I would say wait till the PlayStation Showcase that came out wasn't very good for VR. It was it was okay, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, not like the Meta Quest. They killed it in my opinion. But
sure,
there will be another State of Play coming out, before the end of the year. Maybe that gives us more that will come out over in the Christmas time and such. So we'll see. It's one of those things.
Have you tried the PSVR 2?
I can't wait to get my hands on it. I've not tried it yet.
It's good. It's great. If you don't have a PC VR, it's really good, because you don't know any better in terms of how good games can look in VR.
Dan, have you played through Resident Evil 4 on Quest?
I've not played through it all, but I have played it. Yeah,
you played enough of it, right? So, are you excited about Resident Evil 4 on PSVR 2?
Yeah, big time, because it's going to be it's the way Resident Evil 8 and 7 is on PlayStation. It's so good. Even though it's a VR mode, it feels like it's almost built from the ground up. It works so well. So yes, I'm very excited, because also those remakes of Resident Evil 2, 3 not so much, but that's not because of the remake, it's more just because of the game. But amazing remakes, both of them.
I wonder how they're able to convince, because I'm in a few group chats with college friends who have PlayStation 5s, do not have the VR, and we, from the state of play or whatever we just saw, they were like, yeah, I'm not any more convinced to spend $550 on an accessory for this at all. And I'm curious how they convince, because that's ultimately who they need to convince, is people who have PS5s to get the PSVR 2, and how they go about selling that to them.
They need Half-Life Alyx, and then they would crush it. And I think Steam knows that too.
Why does everyone think Half-Life 5 is the magic bullet, though? Everyone's that's
I don't know. Right? I don't know why, Sho, but I know that there's so much hype over Half-Life in general. Half-Life 2 is such a beloved game and such, and I think people would buy it, no doubt.
But Half-Life is mostly the people who is like a PC, right? It's always been PC.
Game. Yeah.
So I feel like PlayStation people, honestly, before I had a PC, I didn't really think much about Half-Life.
Yeah, true.
I'm not sure how much my Sony friends are like, yeah, I'd love it. I want to get in that Half-Life.
True.
But yeah.
I think the guys over at PS2 Without Parole, right? They had a really good point. If Sony just puts out more, what's the game? I forget the term for it, where you have existing games that are also
like they call them hybrids, yeah.
More hybrid games. That's naturally going to get more people to invest, because they've already bought the game flat.
They already own it.
When they eventually come over, it's just a bonus, and that's awesome, and then they'll get hooked that way. But yeah, Sony's not showing that.
And they've been the better games. The Resident Evil has been quality. Okay, Horizon's not that, but it is a flat screen game, kind of like that same IP, right? Which gives that similar kind of appeal. As much as as I've mentioned on the podcast many times, I'm not a Gran Turismo person because I'm not a simulation racing guy. But if you are, that game is phenomenal, especially if you have if you have just a steering wheel, it's going to be that game is phenomenal, and that sells systems for sure. I'm pretty sure that sold systems because people want to try that, because people probably already own GT and they just already had it's a free add-on and such. So I agree with you. That's definitely going to be PSVR 2 and Pro. They know what they're doing. They know they've been in this game for so long. Their point is completely correct. But yeah, I just think they just need more. Just keep going with those heavy hitters, right? If they can get something like Vertigo 2 in, it's gonna pop it off. But right now it's still loose, the PlayStation VR 2. I got full faith that they're going to support it. They did well with the PSVR 1 in terms of supporting it. They did really well, and I have full faith that they will support it. It's funny, the state of VR right now is that you've got so many different devices and they all kind of do different things. You got this Apple Vision Pro, which is completely different to a PlayStation VR 2. It's we're coming to that point where people like us might have multiple VR headsets because they all do different things, and that's where we're kind of going towards. Yeah, I don't think ever you're going to have that one device fits all, but maybe the Deckard's that. maybe the Valve Deckard's that.
Yeah, it could be.
Sho, do you have a Steam Deck?
No, I won't. I don't have one. I just have a Switch.
That's fair.
Just a Switch.
That's fair. The Switch is good enough. Let's be honest. I've been tempted to get the Steam Deck, but maybe the next one.
I was going to pick up the Steam Deck the minute Deckard makes an announcement. That was going to be my push to get the Steam Deck.
Yeah, because of the integration, for sure. For sure. All right, perfect. Sho, before we kind of wrap up this, let's kind of find out a couple of things here. What is your favorite VR game, or one of your favorite VR games that you've ever played?
I mean, Walkabout's the easy answer, right? I mean, it's almost a perfect game.
Yeah.
Right, for VR. Resident Evil 4 is excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent game. And Demia. Those are probably my top 3 right now.
Oh, you're a Demia player. Nice.
Demia is awesome, and I'm not even that great, but it's still cool.
Do you do anything else in Demia? Like, do you do the painting of the models, or like hang out in the? Yeah,
totally. It's very relaxing to go in there and paint models. Nice. Yeah, I wish. My favorite thing about Demia, I wish some developer out there would do. I love the arcade. I love the Gauntlet machine, and I wish somebody would make a app that you can buy that had a full arcade like that, where you can go in with other people and play arcade games.
I think I've mentioned that before, Zamson. I swear. Like, I wish there was an app where you could just jump in, which was just Quest 2 specific, not just like your PC. Because I know you can do kind of similar things with the PC, but like have a Quest 2 app where you could have different arcades.
Well, there's Age of Joy that's out. I don't know. Have you guys heard of that one? Age of Joy.
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah, it's on App Lab. It's work in progress, but it's promising, where they have a bunch of arcade ROMs and you can go in there and play, and it's cool. But I want something official.
Oh, that looks nice.
Polished.
Yeah, I only know like the Arcade Legend, which I think is more like skee ball and various other games, not the arcade type of games. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at Age of Joy right now. It's on SideQuest, which you can load it in. It says play classic arcade games like Donkey Kong, and Frogger, and such. I might.
Everything that you can get on main can be put in the Age of Joy.
I am making a note of this. Age of Joy. Amazing. Okay, perfect. Sho, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for inviting me.
It's like I said to you before the show, but when I first watched some of your YouTube videos, I was like, okay, the show's gonna be perfect for a good opinion piece podcast for sure.
Oh, appreciate you.
It's great. I love your opinion pieces. It's really good, really insightful, and just keep doing what you're doing.
Hey,
keep pushing.
You too. Both of you guys, I love your show. Honestly, I love the interviews. You and Rough Talk are the ones putting it down with the interviews, and you guys have been doing it for so long, and I've been a fan with you guys for a while. I've been rocking with you guys for a long time. So
much appreciated.
I appreciate it. You guys introduced me to 2 of my favorite people, Jay Dunn and Joy Rain. So thank you.
Yeah.
I love them. And it's just a great show. I watch you guys every week.
Yeah, Jay Dunn and Joy Rain, big up them. They're just like, I said it on the podcast what we had with them, but they're just the bundle of positivity. If you're ever feeling down, just put on a video or a podcast with them, with Get Them to the multiverse rather, and just amazing.
So much energy. Yeah.
So much energy, and they're just so much positivity. They're amazing people. They really are. So big up Jay Dunn and Joy Rain for sure. Sho, where can everyone find you? What is your podcast? What is your YouTube name?
Sho Futuristic. You can find me on YouTube. It's growing, so I'll get there eventually. But yeah, that's where you find me on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Okay, beauty. Okay, perfect. Thanks everyone for listening/watching. Next week, I guess we'll be back to just me and Samson, just some regular podcast.
It's an LTO normal.
Absolutely. All right. See you then.